Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the FiiO JadeAudio JD7. This is, JadeAudio, as you might know, is a subsidiary of FiiO. It's basically a way of FiiO offering some of their products at a slightly reduced price. There have been several models, 1+1, a single DD. If I'm not mistaken, the EA1 was the equivalent of the FD1, if memory serves me right. The JD7 now you could say is the equivalent of the FD3 and FD3 Pro from FiiO. Obviously there are differences, and I'll get to them in a second, but that's basically the idea. Anyway, this is the box. Since saving is the premise of the products offered by JadeAudio, let's not spend then too much money on the packaging, and it reflects itself in a very basic package. The box itself basically just brings a FiiO case, which inside has everything. It offers, or it brings as well, a whole bunch of tips. It brings these color coded ones. It brings these ones which are foams. It brings these other white silicone tips here. These are the white silicones. These are the white silicones. It brings, as I said, the box removal tool for the cable. The tips, actually, these color-coded ones are too flimsy in my opinion. I didn't really like them. They kind of broke up very easily. I'm using these KB07 replicas, and they are much more substantial in everything. I'm actually using another model of KB right now, the wide bore one, which is the one that I actually found the nicest results with the JD7. But I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, that's the box. Simple, straight to the point. Tips, plenty, nothing to complain there as well. The one complaint, yes, that I do have is with regards to the cable, and I'll show it to you now in a second. We're talking about an IM. Okay, that's it. We're talking about an IM that right now is costing close to $100. And $100, although you could have bought it now during the Black Friday sales for a little bit cheaper. For $100, I'm sure they can do better than this. This is just, look at it. This cable has got a life of its own, period. It's pointless in trying to, no. Sorry, I can understand that this is more tailored towards the budget end, but offer a proper cable, please. Please, FiiO, I loved your IEM. Don't mess it up with the cable, okay? Please. That's it. Out of the way. IEMs themselves. Well, the IEMs themselves, and I'm actually going to bring out the JD3, which I was saying is the equivalent. Okay, that's the JD3. Kind of barrel style, as you can see. Very premium looking finish with the faceplate, and the whole thing is really nice, and it's got exchangeable nozzles and so on and so forth. Over here you kind of get the same basic structure, okay, different faceplate obviously, and non-removable nozzle, all right, but also MMCX. They both feel weighty. They are in terms of size and weight and everything, they are almost identical. The difference here is obviously what's inside. This uses a 12mm DLC driver, okay, and this uses a 10mm driver. Excuse me, guys. I'm really so sorry about my cough. Just continues not wanting to leave me alone. I've been doing everything, even some suggestions that I got from one of you guys, but no, it's just not. It's being relentless. Anyway, as I was saying, it uses a 10mm driver. No fancy beryllium DLC or CNT driver here, just a good old-fashioned 10mm driver. I'm not sure what the diaphragm is, but it's solid enough. 32 ohm impedance, and in terms of the fit, what can I say? Well, barrels are always a hit or miss. If you choose the right tip, which I've done, it fits me nicely. And the biggest issue here will actually be the weight of them. They are hefty. They've got some good weight to them. So if you don't have either a deep insertion because of the short nozzle, or because it just doesn't allow you to deep insert it for some reason, or if you don't get a nice proper larger size tip that really secures the IM, they will have a tendency of falling off. Okay, but once you do have them in there, they really don't bug you. They don't make themselves felt in terms of being fatiguing. They isolate noise pretty well, so really nothing that I would say is a deal breaker. At least, well, not a deal breaker for me. Onto what we want to know, and what does it sound like, and what is it and what isn't not. Let me just introduce what I brought out to compare with it. Okay. And I brought out these IMs because they all have a signature which is more on the warmer side, because that's what the FiiO, the JD7, the JadeAudio JD7 has. It's a warmer signature. Actually, there's one IM here that I am forgetting. There we go. Sorry guys, I was forgetting one IM. That's it. Okay, there it is. Okay, so as I was saying, it's an IM which has a signature which is a little bit more on the warmer side, and I'll get to it in more detail. So the majority of the IMs here are IMs which have that warmer signature as well. The original Treble and Melee, the latest Olina SE, which doesn't fit what I just said about the warmer signature. The FiiO JD3, not the Pro, the BQE was a Topaz, the Venturi Electronics BE Pro, and the Moondrop Aria. Okay. What's the best way that I can say or talk about the sound of the JD7? The sound of the JD7 is all about being balanced. It's about being smooth. It's about having a very natural timbre. It's about having really good bass, not only in quality but in quantity as well. And then having that bass being accompanied by equally good mid-range, especially the vocals, and technicalities which are very decent for what this IM's tuning is. So in terms of, seems like this is all praises. Are there any cons? Well, on the same side as there is the nice amount of bass that it has, that can be for some people a negative, although I don't really see having too much bass as a negative. And the treble can be a little bit too polite for some. Again, I don't really see that as a con. Those are really, in terms of the sound, that's really honestly, in terms of the sound, the cons. Because what it does very well. And it was a very pleasant surprise, actually, because I haven't had many, for some reason, I just haven't bought many FiiO earphones. It just hasn't happened. EA1, EA3, the JD3, and that's basically it. And it's just one brand that never really has appealed to me. I always kind of hope there will be something that will tickle my fancy, and that's why I got the single DDs, the JD3 and so on. I didn't get the top of the line single DD, but that's really crazy money in my opinion. So when I first heard the JD7, I was very, very impressed. I was impressed because I was like, wow, this thing plays well. And the more I took to it, and the more I listened to different music, and I went through my music playlist, and I started getting acquainted with what it was doing. I was impressed. Yes, fair enough. It has got very much a Harman curve. Okay, that's true. but it's been well done. It's a nice harmon, safe tuning. It's, you know, it just sounds really good. It sounds genuinely really good. You know, how can I then break it up? Sub bass, ample sub bass. There's no, it goes deep. It has that sense of physicality to it. But it's got texture. You know, it doesn't. It's not. There's a sub bass which has body, physicality, but texture at the same time. And that sub bass you feel when you're comparing with other IEMs, that sub bass that it does have does complement well then the mid bass and the mids. The mid bass is again, in my opinion, very well executed. There's a little bit of bleed into the mids, but the bleed is so minor and it's so well done. It actually adds fullness and doesn't really particularly mess up anything or create any sense of muddiness or fuzziness or anything of the sort. It's really been well done. I was really impressed with that as well. It's got good speed, good agility. It can have that impact that's needed with certain songs, and you know, I'll post my playlist, but there are definitely certain songs where you can see that the way that the bass was tuned, it keeps up with that, or it provides that punch that we need. Let me just give you a quick example of a song that. Let me see. Look, Sweat from JK remix. That song from Princess Frasier. It's got a nice impact, you know, to it, and the mid bass on the JD7 does it justice. It's perfect. There's nothing that's lacking. Another song, Unconditional from Soul Persona. It's got a nice bass to it. Again, it does justice to it. No issues whatsoever. Latch from Disclosure. The same situation. Maya Ridden, Dave Nunes, perfect again. But at the same time, as I was mentioning, you know, the sub bass that then certain songs have, like for example in Pretty Thoughts from Gali Matias, perfectly executed. It adds that sense of, as I said earlier, of physicality that you want. Okay. Okay, that's I think enough to explain the bass and the sub bass. The mids, I would say the male vocals are the ones that shine the most in terms of the mids. There's a very natural sounding tonality, very natural sounding. Think of this as a Blonde 03 kind of bass sound that's been very polished up. I think that's a really good way of putting or positioning this. Okay, it's got that kind of nice timbre and tonality that the Blonde 03 has always been known for, but it's been polished up by bringing down the mid bass slightly so that there's not as much bleed. It gives you sub bass a little bit more, so it complements, it makes that sub bass, mid bass, and mids just perfect, and then has, instead of having the kind of harsh, take that with a grain of salt, upper end or you know, or treble, it has a very clean, very precise treble. There's no splashiness like sometimes you get on the Blonde. So vocals, that's it. As I said, the tonality of the timbre is very well done. So instruments sound very true once again, very correct. Everything is, it's like I said in the beginning, it's all about being very balanced, very correct sounding. What more? Again, you know, keeping up with the instruments, you know, percussion, strings, everything sounds always very natural. It's never overemphasized. It's never colored in or whatever. Maybe you can say that one or two occasions there is a little bit more coloring, but it's always very natural. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it's just difficult to find words, you know, to explain really well, you know, how the mids are. In terms of the treble, as I said earlier, treble is there's a good amount of treble. It's clean, it's detailed, it's never splashy, never harsh. If anything, there could be some of you that would like a little bit more treble. Okay, that would say, okay, that would be nice if there was a little bit more, just to, but it's you know, it's a smooth and detailed treble. It balances and keeps up very well with the mids and with the bass. So I guess you can't really demand too much. In terms of then the technicalities, well, you know, tonality and timbre, we already know that's pretty good. A soundstage, it's got average width and height, and you know, and depth, average. I think the imaging here is probably the ones that is the standout imaging, and you know, and separation. I think they are pretty good. Details again, I consider I found the JD7 to be pretty capable in terms of details retrieval. Again, this because everything is so balanced. It just has the right energy. It just you know, it's all about once more. I'm going to repeat myself, but it's all about being very or trying to be as melodic as possible, as sounding as real as possible. And in that aspect, the JD7 is really and a truly surprise to me. I mean, it was a true surprise to me. How does then it compare with some of these other IEMs? I mentioned just a minute or so ago that, you know, you could say that this was kind of a Blon 03. What I neglected to mention was that when I actually first listened to it the first time, the first IEM that came to mind to me was the Melee. Okay, and when I show you the graphs now in a second, you'll understand why I'm saying that. The Melee, or rather the FD7, you could consider them as being the JD7 as being a Melee with a little bit more extension, with a little bit more quicker bass, equally as deep, equally as full, okay, but it's just got that little extra lushness to it, that extra cleanliness in the bass. The mids are every bit as good as the mids on the Melee, but then it's got a little bit more detail up top, and so the whole thing, the whole package is truly a more satisfying package for a wider variety of genres. in my opinion, at least. Obviously, we mustn't forget that the Melee was tuned for HBB's personal taste, and I've always liked the Melee. I just thought that the Melee needed a little bit more treble. That was just my only thing there, but it wasn't like it was a deal breaker for me. No way. So compared to the Melee, I think I've basically already said it. You can consider the JD7 as an updated Melee, if we could put it that way. Compared to the brother, the JD3 from FiiO, this is a really very simple one. There's nothing that the FiiO does, absolutely nothing that the FiiO does better than the JD doesn't do better. So the FD3 by all comparisons, or there's nothing, honestly. There's absolutely nothing that I could. The mids are of inferior quality. The highs, there's not as much extension. This truly sounds like a darkish sounding IM, while the JD doesn't have anything to do with dark. You might. When you initially hear it, and depending on what you listen to it, you feel so much bass that you think, oh, okay, this is going to be one of those muddy messes that is dark sounding, and there's not and then you're surprised, like I was, by how much detail it's capable of doing and how open sounding it is, while the FD3 is none of those things. So there's nothing that would I mean, there's no reason why would I spend $120 almost for this when I have that there, which is substantial. Well, not substantially, significantly better. Okay, next, the Venture Electronics BA Pro, and basically what I just said about the FiiO, the FD3 applies itself to the BE Pro. The BE Pro has got tons and tons of bass slam, crazy mid bass, fair enough, but then the rest is just non-existent. And it's not that it's not there, it's there, but the bass that it has, it's so much that it just, you know, when I reviewed it, okay, this would be a perfect IM for the bass head, yes, true, but it's not an IM where it will satisfy you if you want to listen to a little bit more, let's say, details and so on and so forth. No, definitely not. I'm guessing that was the premise behind Venture Electronic when they made this one, was to be a bass monster, and they did well. But for example, if I have to compare it with its own brother, the normal BA, I'll take the BA any day. It's a much better IM than this, and you know, the Venture Electronics next to the FD7, the JD7. I apologize if I get these nomenclatures all messed up sometimes. The Jade is much better. So that's out of the way as well. No comparison. And again, I haven't been mentioning prices too much, but right now this is close to $100. It's $95, if I'm not mistaken. You could have bought it down during the sales for $75. Okay, compared to the FiiO older brother, or you know, it's even if this was even remotely capable in terms of sound, it would have to be really much better to justify its price, because it's not the fact that it's got a pretty faceplate that's gonna make me go for it. Trust me. As for the B is a little bit cheaper. Obviously, the B is around $70. But still, again, there's nothing here that it's not the cable. There's nothing to justify me choosing that. Next one, the BQEYZ, the Topaz. Those that saw my review of the Topaz know that I like the Topaz. It's got this nice warm sound, a very good implementation of the piezo driver, in my opinion. It doesn't sound harsh. It doesn't sound aggressive, at least for me and for my ears and for my music, compared to the Jade, to the JD7. The JD7 is more detailed. The JD7 has got better mids. In terms of the bass, they trade blows. Quality, quantity, they trade blows. So it's not in the bass where you see the BQEYZ beating or losing. No, the BQEYZ loses to the Jade is in terms of the mids, and then in terms of the cleanliness and the you know, the details more up top there, and it's noticeable. You know, it's something which is you don't really have to look too hard. You just have to go for a song, let's say, for example, like let me see a song here that will be a pretty easy one to pick up on that. It's Probably Me by Vanessa Rubin. You'll pick up straight away on the issue that the you know, the Jade audio is more capable, more it's a more mature product. It's more hi-fi. Let's, if you want to put it that way. You know, Chemistry of Love as well. The same thing. You notice it's very well. Another one would be, for example, In a Sentimental Mood from Cecile Norby. Very noticeable, because it's just her voice, and you can feel that the Jade has everything needed to just give that right warmness and warmth and you know, that right atmosphere to her voice, that this doesn't do it as well. It's not, if you listen to it by itself, it's good. And I mean, out of the ones that I have compared so far with the Jade, this one is the best one. It supplants the FiiO. It supplants the BA, definitely. It's on par with the Melee. Okay. For the most part, it's on par with the Melee for the most part. So these two are the ones that so far have been able to kind of keep up better with the Jade compared to the last two here. Okay, the Aria, which is one of the references, long-standing references, at under $100, and compared to the Oline SE. Well, compared to the Aria, Bass wise, the bass here is superior. It's better in terms of overall depth, texture, detail. It's better. It's not a huge difference, but it's better. Where the audio wins is in the mids. The mids here are better, and I think it's down to the fact that also because there's less bass, everything just shines a little bit, better. And in terms of the soundstage and imaging and so on, this here also has better technicalities than over there. I would say not so much that one is better than the other, but they are interesting side grades, okay? Because there are things, especially on the more bass heavy stuff, the Jade does things, or does it in a way, and has a capability of giving you an atmosphere that the area, however much good it is and however much I like it, just cannot keep up. Compared to the Olina, well, the Olina, in terms of technicalities, it's on a different scale. We already know that. That's where it shines. In terms of the mids, again, it's amazing. Where it lacks compared to the Jade is in the bass, and the bass of the Jade is, I think, probably the star of the show, in the sense that it's big. It's a big bass, but it's a really good quality bass. It's not the usual typical big bass that then doesn't have the ability to be resolving in texture and so on. It's not like the bass. I don't want it to sound bad what I'm about to say, but it's not like the bass of the BA. The BA Pro, it's got this really huge big bass with loads of slam, but it just is not a detailed bass ultimately when you compare it to this. This has got you can songs that have different bass textures, and you can pick it up on here, while there it kind of gets all muggled up into a mess. This does it well. There, yes, we do have plenty of capability in terms of the bass and it being quality and everything. It's just the quantity that's lacking, okay? And it obviously has to do with the way that it was tuned. So again, I wouldn't really say that that's better than this or this is better than that. They're again different flavors. Both the Aria and the Olina SE are different flavors, or to the Jade, and the Jade, yes, does join this group of IEMs which have got this kind of harmonish tune, and the Aria is one of them, the Olina is another, the TIN-T2 DLC, the TIN-T3, the HD Sound Heart Mirror Pro, the Melee, they all have this kind of very the Tantrum, the Oxygen, yes, but the Tantrum, the all of the bass edition, they all have this kind of very much Harman type of approach, done in different manners. Out of all of them, the one that I think is the most let's say, well, not the most. It's not the. It's so difficult to explain. You listen to the Aria and you're listening to a quality product. You listen to the Olina and you know that you're listening to a quality product. You listen to the Melee and you're listening to a quality product, but you can feel that it lacks that polish that these two have. The same thing happens here. You listen to this and you feel that it ultimately, right at the end, it doesn't have the ultimate polish that these two have in terms of the last little bit of of detail and so on. But what it does have is this overall very entertaining, very complete package that just is very. It's like comfort food. Yeah, I guess that's a good way of putting it. This is the comfort food of IEMs at the $100 bracket. Let's put it that way, okay? This is comfort food. It's really very easy to listen to it, and it's you don't find yourself. Well, I didn't find myself touching the volume or adjusting the volume from song to song, or okay, this one let me give a bit more, because no, everything is just always very, very nicely kind of as one package. It just comes to you as one full one wall of sound that doesn't really okay, let me lower it a little bit now because the mids are a little bit too high, or the vocals. No, it's very, very good. Anyway, guys, I'm rambling here and carrying on and getting just going to show you the graphs quickly, and that's it. All right, take care. Hi guys, so this is the graph section for the JadeAudio, the JD7, and this is the graph straight away of the sorry, this is not the graph of the JD7. No, don't pay attention to me. The graph of the JD7 is this one here. Okay, that's the graph of the JD7, and the graph of the JD7 using KBR07, the white ones, okay, the white tips. Those are the tips that I used, and those are the tips I got the best results with. Nice sub bass focus, as you can see. A little bit of a bleed with the mids, but it's almost flat. Nice progressive pin again, plateaus. This peak should have been a little bit more there, but it has to do with the tip being hard to fit into the coupler. But as you can see, nice and smooth, very Harman, perfect, nice extension, everything. Now this second graph, this is the melee, okay, and as you can see, let me just align them. There you go. So bass in terms of graphically what it is like, very similar, but there's more quality in the bass of the JD. The pin again, maximum, peak point is about the same. Very, very similar. I mean, this here that you see these differences are this is not even it's even actually, let me see here. Yeah, actually this is let me just take away the other one, the red line that I just put in. Okay, this red graph line that you see here, that's the JD7 with the stock tip on there. And with the stock tip, look at it. It's exactly the same as the melee. Exactly the same. The difference is that it's got more extension up here. Okay, it's got a little bit more extension up here, and it's noticeable. You can feel exactly what I used to say about the melee. Needed just a little bit extra extension, a little bit of air, a little bit more, just to make it really. That's what the Jade is capable of offering. I've used the wideboard tip because I just like the fact that it adds a little bit more of air up top, and it just fits beautifully in my ears, complements it. It's the perfect match. In my opinion, it's the perfect match. Okay, so JadeAudio with the white ball, the black line is the melee. Next one. Oh, okay. Next one is number 4 is the FiiO, the FD3. Okay, the FiiO FD3, that's that line that I've just added. The bass is basically the same. The way that it starts doing its spin again is the same. Then it just goes and becomes this mess. And yeah, I think not much needs more to be said. That's it. Next one. The VEB, the Pro. That one there, let me just align them, and you will see again what I was saying a little bit earlier in the review. Okay, crazy amounts of bass which completely overpower the mids. The mids by themselves, they're not bad. It's not that they're bad. You've got a little peak here at 5 and so on and so forth, but the amount of bass is so much that you don't even really notice it. And whatever sound stage or 3D capabilities that it could have, again, it gets absolutely smothered by this enormous amount of bass that you have. And it's a pity because, as you can see, the tuning up here is not that bad. It's not offensive. It's just crazy amounts of bass. So again, pointless. No real. There's no reason for it. Next one, number 10. This is the Moondrop Aria, and let me just align them here. And you can see similarities again. Okay. It's got a little bit less space, which is noticeable. You can hear it, and that little bit less space then helps clean up the mid-range, the vocals, just everything here just sounds more detailed, more opened. Not huge difference, but it sounds more, and it's basically down to this just being, not as energetic. I mean, there's like a 2-3 dB here difference, and this manifests itself quite well over there, quite well. In terms of the extension past 10K, they've honestly very much the same. I would say maybe that the extension on the well, not maybe, I would say that the extension on the Jade is actually a little bit more smoother, not as you know, it's smoother. It's smoother. Okay, plenty of air on either one of them, plenty of detail, you know, everything. But you just feel that there's that touch of smoothness on the Jade. And finally, the Olina SE. Let me just align it. There we go. Again, align it. And as you can see, the Olina SE, it speaks for itself. I mean, I don't really think I need to say too much. The way that the pinna gain is done, the way that it transitions through the mids, going into the treble, the way that it then drops off, everything is very, very similar. The reason why the Olina shines in the mids, it's because it's got a little bit less bass, and everything just shines, just comes across a little bit more detailed, better technicalities as well. And yeah, that's basically it. The Jade is just very lush, and it's like I said, it's comfort food. It's a really nice IEM. I enjoyed listening to it, and I would recommend you guys, if you have the opportunity, have a listen to it. You'll be surprised, as I was, I'm sure. And yeah, that's it, guys. All right. As always, like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Take care. Bye bye.